Talk to Me is an incredible horror film put out by A24. This video obviously contains spoilers and the ending of the film, so if you haven't seen it, you can check out my spoiler-free review. Kid gloves are off, and we were going to talk full spoilers for Talk to Me. Okay, so I think there are two main interpretations for how the film ends, and one of them makes a little bit more sense to me than the others, and I will get to that in a second, but I think there's certain context that we have to go over before getting to the ending. So the lead character, Mia, stays a little bit too long in her possessed state. She stays beyond that 90 seconds that they say is the magic number, the arbitrary magic number that they can't go beyond, or else the dead will want to remain in them. So that's part of what happens with her. She goes beyond that 90 seconds and she continues to see the dead beyond the time of her possession. The other people in her friend group do not see the dead because they didn't stay beyond that 90 seconds. It's why Mia continues to see her dead mother, as well as the creepy dude that comes up and licks Daniel's feet, only for her to realize that it is actually her doing the licking. Between the toe-sucking scene and Daniel having to make out with a dog, I really felt for the actor who was playing him. So Mia continues to see things, and she sees a version of her father that is dead, even though he's still alive, and that is what inadvertently causes her to stab him with the scissors, a scene which was entirely gross and awesome at the same time. So why is Mia doing these things? Mia initially allows the younger kid Riley, played by Joe Bird, to take the embalmed hand for a 60-second period. His sister Jade wants nothing to do with it, so she walks out of the room, and that's when they agree on the 50 seconds that he ultimately ends up holding her hand for. But to our surprise and to Mia's, Riley ends up being possessed by Mia's mother. Mia, realizing that Riley has been possessed by her deceased mother, she really just wants to have a conversation with her and find out what happened surrounding her death. Mia knows that her mom overdosed on drugs, but was it accidental? Was it suicide? Or was something nefarious at play with her father? Why is this scene so important? It shows that the dead want to add more to their numbers, which I think is a very important piece because from my perspective, you can't trust a word that the dead say. Which, why would you trust the dead anyways? They're dead. Out of a desire to connect more with her mother, Mia tries to get people like Daniel to just hold the embalmed hand one more time so she can have a conversation with her mom and hopefully get a little bit more clarity. No one wants to play ball, and it seems that the dead are holding Riley captive. It's my thought that the dead can only hold Riley for so long, and that's why Mia's mother encourages Mia to kill Riley so he can go to the other side. However, I think it's a happy ending for Riley, as I will explain in just a moment. But before that, we get the big reveal where Mia's father finally tells her the truth about her mother. But is it the truth? So this is where those two possible interpretations of the ending come into play. Mia's father reads a suicide note that he claims was written by her mother. So in this instance, you either believe that Mia's father is being truthful with her and that he just couldn't bring himself to confront her and talk to her about what had happened surrounding her mother's death, just because of grief and the hard reality of telling her that her mom committed suicide. To the counter, you may think that he actually had something to do with it and that this suicide letter is just a way to cover his tracks or to lie to his daughter. I'll leave that up to you. I have my own thoughts about it, which I will explain. So Mia's dead mother from the other side continues to tell her that it wasn't an accident, leading Mia to believe that her father potentially had something to do with it. Mia's grief, her denial, and the fact that her dead mother told her it wasn't an accident would leave the viewer to think that perhaps there was foul play and that the father actually had something to do with it. I personally don't believe that lying-ass liar. I think Mia's mom was sent to just add more to the dead's numbers and to bring as many down as possible in the process. I think she likely did kill herself with an overdose and was in a lot of pain, and the suicide note is real and the father had nothing to do with it. So Mia's mother is basically coming after Mia's father and after Riley as well. She's kind of an evil bitch. Mia calls Jade to lure her away from the hospital so she can take care of Riley. Why she didn't smother poor old Riley Poo with a pillow is beyond me, but it definitely wouldn't have played as dramatic. So she grabs a wheelchair instead and heads off to the highway to hell. So this is where I think that Mia has an internal dialogue, an internal struggle, and decides ultimately to sacrifice herself rather than killing Riley. And she jumps out in front of the cars and is instantly killed. It's shot in a way to where we think that she's going to push Riley out into traffic in the wheelchair, but she ends up going out herself, sacrificing herself, and ultimately committing suicide just like her mother had. Yeesh. We see Mia chasing her dad down the hallway with the lights going out in sequence and him getting on the elevator, which leads me to believe that he was killed by the scissor shot. I mean, those scissors look like they got him pretty good. I don't think anyone's coming back from that one. This ain't a Scream movie. The final scene is beautifully shot, and it reminded me of the final scene in The Descent, which is a brilliant horror film. The final scene shows Mia edging closer and closer to an obscure figure. She slowly reaches out her hand to grab another hand over candlelight, only for it to reveal that the person on the other end is someone at a party, and that she, Mia, is actually the dead soul. Pretty dark shit. Pretty brutal ending. I do think it was the right ending though. Sometimes when you see a horror film, things are going really well, and this is how I felt in this one. I was like, oh, please get the ending right. Please do a good job with the ending, because the film had been so good up to that point. And I felt like they nailed the ending. I was really happy with how they kind of turned everything around to where Mia ended up being the undead person at the other end of the spectrum. And I felt like that was really an interesting way to show that like the pattern continues. The embalmed hand has moved on to another group of people, and Mia is now one of the dead souls that inhabits the other people on the other side. It's sad, it's brutal, but it's why we love going to see horror. I do, however, think that Riley, Jade, and their funny ass mom ended up living happily ever after. Man, white people. If you want to see my full review for Talk to Me, click here. Make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.
They like you.